So you guys remember what we did last time? Hello?
We were working on graphs and everything with regards to this info. So the um,
Hello? I couldn't hear what you were saying, by the way, beyond a certain point. Okay, so last time we saw the use of multiple things actually. We saw how we could create a report using a pivot table or subtotals, right? We had seen this. We even saw how we could create the same report that we had using subtotal as well as using a pivot table. You guys remember?
Yes, sir.
Okay, no problem. You can type it in. Okay, so today we are going to be working on creating some graphs with the data. All right. So for now, like I mentioned, we will use just this summary which we have created, and we're going to try and create the graph using that. Okay. So the first graph we're going to try and create is a line graph. We did that last time, but we're going to try and repeat that. We're going to create a line graph. For that, I'm going to copy this data which I have over here in another sheet. I'm copying that report data which I have created in another sheet. So in order to draw a graph, you'll notice over here there is when you go to insert, you see multiple options. You see an option of charts, and within that you see a line chart. So if I click on the line, the symbol of the line, there is a down arrow. If I click on that, I will get this pop up. Okay, and I will see these line charts. This line chart can also be converted into an area chart, which I can create. So the first step is I should select the data for which I want to create the line chart. All right. So I can choose two columns. So let's say I choose two columns. I take the first column that I want is the provider name. I copy it somewhere else, and I copy the sum of total discharges. So this is just for ease of creating the line graph. I copied two columns. I copied the provider name. I copied the sum of total discharges. And what I do next is I select these two. Okay, I can auto fit it if I want to. I select these two. I click on this line graph and I plot the line graph. Okay. This is how I see the data. Now, earlier this data was sorted by provider name. So if I sort this by provider name, okay, let's say I sort this data by provider name. My graph will look very weird. It looks like a sine wave. We just shifted above zero, which doesn't help me take any decision per se, and obviously the names are too many. So again, that doesn't help, which is why I sorted the data, on the sum of total discharges. You can go from largest to smallest or smallest to largest. So here I see this data, but the point is when I'm building this graph, I really don't make sense of these names because they are too big. The name is too big for anybody to distinguish. If the data is just 5 to 10 records, then it makes sense, which is why you can even select just 5 records and build a uh, just 5 records and showcase the output. So if I just select the first 5 and insert the line graph, it makes much more sense. And I can just, now this graph actually makes more sense as compared to the other graph that we drew, where I have, I mean, it makes sense if I want to compare all hospitals, but if the name don't make sense, so I would rather make this as a hospital 1, 2, 3, 4 like that and give it a serial number and then plot it. Make sense? Can you try this? Can you try creating this graph in your sheet? You guys understood what you're supposed to do, right?
So how do I interchange the axis? Make the if I want to make the provider name on the y-axis, how do I do that?
How is your data currently?
My provider name is on the x-axis right now.
Provider name is here. You want the
Yeah.
provider name here.
Yes, sir.
So when you select this, if I just switch rows and columns, ideally that it, I mean, no, that will not work. You should probably change the series type and make it as bar. So this makes more sense. I mean, you'll have to convert it into a bar chart.
Okay, okay.
Anybody facing any issues? Did you guys get this graph?
Yes, sir.
So now let's try and build this graph. Very nice. So now let's try and build this graph with both these columns, sum of average covered charges as well. Okay, so I'm just going to copy, like, we'll copy this data again. All right, I'm going to go to the right. I'm going to copy all the three columns again. And before I do that, let me show you once again how you create a line graph. Let's say if I don't want to copy this data. Okay, I don't want to copy it this way. I still want to create a line graph. So let's say if that is possible. Let's see if that is possible. So I click on this line. I click on this line graph. I get a blank layout. I say select data. When I say select data, so either here you see, right, horizontal axis. What is the horizontal axis data? It should be. Okay, so I add a series. I add a series name X. Series values is this. Okay, I add another series Y. Rather, one second. Let me try that again. Select data, add series. This is my series. The values are this. Okay. So I get this data like this. Now I can change this. When I click on format axis, I can actually choose the labels. There is a specific way label. Let's see how is it done. Yeah, add data labels over here. When I see on right, add data labels. Not this way. This is not the label that I want. Okay, so here it is giving me 1, 2, 3, 4. I click on this. Instead of this, I give this. So here, when I look at the data now, click on, you notice I get the same graph. Understood what I did? Instead of copying the data somewhere else, I just took that, I just inserted a graph and I selected the data that I wanted. Make sense? Let me repeat that once more. Okay, I have this empty graph, and that also, if you want, I can show how what I did. I just went to insert and I clicked on create line graph. Okay, when I created line graph, I can right click and select data, or over the at the top right I see this select data as well. So I select data, I add a series name, sum of total discharges, I add the values. So here I can again select 5 if I want to. Okay, I've selected just these 5 and I get this value. Now I can change these labels. Okay, when I select this data, you see the labels are mentioned 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I can edit the label and select 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I get the values for 5 of these lines. Now I can add another in the same way. I can actually add the remaining 5. I want to add another line. So I say select data. Okay, I add another series. I say the series name is this and I select 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and I get this value. Now you'll notice this is in millions, this is coming as 0. It is, I mean, it is very less. The value is very less. So in order to fix this, I click on this change chart type. Okay, and I go to this combo. When I go to this combo, both of them I can choose line, and the sum of total discharges I can go to secondary axis. When I go to secondary axis, I can see the difference in the two lines. Earlier it was not visible. Okay, earlier this blue line was coming as 0 because all the values are very less. So which is why I converted it into a combo chart, wherein I can, or rather I can, instead of a combo chart also, what I can do is I can, this should be, there is another option over here actually. Let's say, I need to select this line, format data series. When I right click on that, and I can choose the secondary axis. There are two ways of doing this, like I said. One is by going to change chart type, go to combo, make this as line, and choose this as secondary axis. Okay. The second way is I choose any line that I want to put on the secondary axis. I right click on it. Okay, first I select it, right click, format data series, secondary axis. Understood what I did? And in the same way I can choose, we copied the data over here on the right, so I can choose the entire data set if I want to, and I do line chart. So I see this data in this way. Now here I can again format data series, make this into a secondary line graph. So this is something you can also, I mean, we've looked at the entire data, that is how it looks like. Did you get this? Can you try this?
Sir, could you just tell how to get the empty chart? Because I'm not getting any option for the empty chart.
So just go to insert, sorry, and just click on a line chart. You'll get
Sir,
an
but
empty.
it is already filled. Like the
Just
moment
click on an
I,
empty cell. Click on an empty cell first. Can you share your screen?
yeah, just I'll try the empty cell.
Sorry.
Sir, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Sir, I click on the empty cell and acha, okay, it didn't work last time. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. If anybody is facing an issue, let me know. And if you're done, also let me know. Hi guys, did you get it? Were you able to get the graph?
Yes, sir.
Very good. So since we saw a combo chart, okay, so I'm just also going to show you one more option over here. In this graph, when I right click and I do change series type, I can have a line graph, like you can just see, right? You can have a line graph or a bar graph, column chart rather. So if I use this clustered column chart, I can add this particular, I can just, this makes much more sense in a way. Okay. Now there are some things which are missing on this particular graph. If I look at this, you can try this also by the way. You can add a column chart. Just try that. What we are also going to try and do is, if you go to chart design, you will see you can add quite a lot of elements over here. Okay, I want to add a label. So I can actually, let's see, where do I see the label? Or rather, I want to add a legend because I don't know what is the meaning of each of these values. So if I just click on this, right, I see legend, add chart element. Go to chart design, add chart element, legend, and you can add a legend at the top bottom. I want to add a chart title above the chart. Okay, so I can add comparing whatever discharges versus covered. Okay, I can do it this way. I can change the font of this in the same way. I just have to select this particular box. I can change the font whatever I want to. I can make it that way. I can reduce this if I want to. If I want to reduce this size, right, I need to click on this graph. Not over here. I need to click over inside the wherever the graph is. So I'll see a border. When I click on the border, I can reduce the size. So here now the chart looks above the graph, not on the graph. Okay. I can change this axis value. It shows the number. Over here you see display units. Okay, let me just take this out. Okay, you see here display units. I can make this display units thousands. So this number becomes 16,000. Instead of the entire number being shown, I can show the thousands. I can add a data label. So here I can add data labels. Add data labels like this. So it shows what is the value. Here I do not know what is the value. I cannot make out. It's just something between 6 and 7. Same over here. So yeah, I can see 7.07, 6.43, 14.47, 9.02 and 8.96. So I can add these data labels as well. I can change the color of the background if I want to. Here again, if I want to change the color, I can format plot area. Right click, format plot area. Okay. In order to format the plot area, I can fill the graph with a solid color, gray or whatever color you want. Okay. I can add more. If I do format grid lines, I can change the color of these grid lines if I want to. I want it black. I can make the grid lines black, but gray is much better. Okay. So there are a lot of things you can do on this one particular graph to make it more appealing. Make sense? Less design on the graph, better it is. Meaning, I am not not designed anything actually. I've just made it more readable. I actually did not understand this question. Less design, you meant to say less colors, or what do you mean to say? Yeah, in terms of data, yes, minimalistic, but some things need to be very clear. Instead of reading 16,000s, if I don't change this value, okay, if don't, I keep this as none, the value looks very big and your graph is going to be much more cluttered rather than having it as 10,000s or millions doesn't make sense over here because the value is too less, which is why you make it as thousands. This also we could change actually. The display units can be millions. I mean, I don't, as of now, the value itself is showing as 4.05 because it has been formatted in that way. That is why it's showing as in millions. If I remove the formatting over here, okay, if I remove this formatting, I remove the home, more number formats, and I make it number. Okay, so everything looks like this, which again is not readable. So I can change this to make it more readable in millions. Okay, so this is in millions now. So what is more readable, this or this? What you are supposed to do is to make the graph more easily readable. That is what you are trying to do. So the color and everything you can, if I keep 10 colors, it's not going to make sense. So that is why I was just showing you options, what all you can do with one particular graph. So can you quickly try this? And can you type in your names in the chat so that I can mark your attendance? Let me know if you were able to get this or if you got the output. So let me know if you got that. So I'm going to try one more thing. I want to see if we can create a map graph. So I'll check this, but ideally you should be able to create a map graph using this data. Okay, but I'll check this and I will see if I can create that for tomorrow. The other thing, there are quite a lot of different types of charts over here. Okay, so we've seen a line chart, we've seen a bar chart, that is a column chart. In the same way, we can create a horizontal bar chart. Okay, so if I have data like this, I choose these five. Instead of this column chart, I use this bar chart. Okay, and in the same way, I need to change this to secondary axis. When I change this to secondary axis, it makes it this way. The only thing we need to do is the size, because this kind of uh, makes it very, yeah. So I change the width, right? I know what is the value. I'm able to make out. Otherwise, without that, I'm not able to make out anything. So this bar chart is not really a great option when I'm looking at this data. Okay, this is how it looks like. We can actually make it side by side. Just give me a second. This is the most challenging part about this graph. But let's see if I can change the chart type. Bar. Okay. Right, I'll check this also. This is, like I said, this might come easier. Let's see if I change this to a column chart. Okay. Ideally, if the data is in a similar range, you will get a better view rather. Because if I, so let's say if I take this value, right, copy this over here. Make this. Now if I plot this, hopefully this will give me a better output. Yeah, because it is not on the secondary axis, that overlap is not there that much. Okay, and that the data is more in the same range, which is why also I am getting a better representation of this information. Okay, so I can try this chart. Let me also show you how we could plot a. So in this same data, if I take these two values, okay, let's say if I take these two columns, copy these two columns, and I'm going to plot a scatter plot. You see this scatter plot plotting X and Y. So this is how you can see this. And I can even draw a trend line. If I draw this trend line, I will see I can check the R square value. So I'm not sure if you study regression or anything, but here I can draw a trend line indicating how good this line is from a linear regression perspective. Okay, multiple linear regression or any other regression. I can change this to logarithmic. You see the R square value increases. If I am going to plot this, the R square value is increasing. If I change this power, okay, so here the R square value is much better. If I use this polynomial regression, if I use this power, again over here also this is giving me a good value. Okay, it improves. So again, there are multiple options in this. You can even do a forecast from a future perspective if you want to, but here this doesn't make sense because you don't have any time data. Understood? So you can even create a trend line on this scatter plot if you want to. So I would suggest you try this. Also, I would request you to create your groups because I wanted to do an activity tomorrow in a group. So if you can create your groups, that will be great before tomorrow's lecture. Any questions, guys? कोई विशेष टिप्पणी? So we've seen the line graph, we've seen this. Let's see. If we can get this. There is a tree map also over here which doesn't look so great. There's a sunburst chart also. There's a histogram. Okay, there are a lot of charts over here predefined in Excel which you can leverage. And I'm not going to be talking about all of them, but I just wanted to give you an idea. Whoa. Let's change this. Yes, this makes sense. Okay, so it's expecting the first few. So here, right, I can actually see uh, on the map, I can see each of these facilities, provider ID, so and so, on a particular location. I can see what is the location of each of these plots. And probably the way it works, now if I, so let me just, I'll explain this again tomorrow, but let's see if I copy this value somewhere else. I'm going to remove this provider ID and now I'm going to plot this. insert the map. Yo, I can change this color. Okay, normal. So here I can actually see it's very small. It's not that great, but I can actually make out which region has a better higher discharges compared to the other. It's very limited, but you can actually make out. It's not that great as compared to any other tool, but it does give you a decent idea. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
All right. So like I mentioned, if you can create your groups by tomorrow, that will be great. We'll do a group activity tomorrow. Okay. In nothing else, we can call it a day, at least for this lecture. Thank you so much.